Bismillah. One thing you have to be really, really careful about as you navigate your life, especially in the times that we are living in, is whose ideologies are you following, who are you giving your time and attention to, and how is that actually influencing your psychology at its core. Many of the people in the time that we live in are full of a trait that Allah hates, which is the trait of hypocrisy. What is hypocrisy? Hypocrisy has varying degrees. You can have somebody who is a complete hypocrite, meaning they say one thing on the outside, but they believe one thing in the inside. Allah mentions the hypocrites in the Quran, and He talks about the deep punishment that they will have, that they will actually be in the lowest depths of the fire, because it is a trait that Allah does not like at all, and He doesn't want to see us have this trait of hypocrisy. Then you have degrees of hypocrisy. You can have people whose hearts are somewhat hypocritical, but not completely hypocritical. Some people who just have a little bit left in them and they're working to purify it, and so on and so forth. One of the ways in which hypocrisy is being manifested in the times that we live in are by people who, when it comes to certain causes, pretend to be people who are standing up for what they believe is the right thing, and so on and so forth. But when it comes to the cause of real oppression and of standing up for against injustice and of standing up for what is right, they are nowhere to be found, and they are completely hypocritical, or they are on the wrong side of history. You see this in causes today. For example, in the Western world, so many people, they stand up for what they believe are the right liberal values and secular values and LGBT rights and all these pronouns and all sorts of things which are completely problematic and are the cause of much of society's problems and of many, many, many different immoral acts that are happening in society today that completely violate morality and sound fundamental principles. But they stand up for them. And then when it comes to the cause of Palestine, when it comes to standing up against Jewish Zionism, when it comes to standing up against these types of actions and the ways that these countries, the Western countries especially, are perpetrating genocide and crimes against humanity, nowhere to be found, nowhere to say anything. You have people in the United States, they are all about pro-life. They believe that somebody should, that this concept of pro-life, meaning that, they don't believe in abortion, which in general, makes sense from a spiritual perspective. But when it comes to all of the babies that are being killed in Gaza, they are nowhere to be found. This type of inconsistency is something that is despised spiritually, and you have to be careful whose ideology you end up following. The only ideology that matters is the ideology of the Prophet ﷺ and what Allah taught him. We have to keep this in mind. Don't let some celebrity or some sports player or some person or some influential person in society influence you, or somebody you follow on YouTube or TikTok or wherever, influence you into thinking that it is greater to follow their way, even if you're just taking parts of their life, parts of what they do. No, reject it. Reject people whose minds have been brainwashed by the Western project, whose minds have been brainwashed by all of these different things that distract people from what's important in society. What's important is that there are people who are dying, there are people who are hungry, there are people who are who are innocent, and yet whose crimes are being perpetrated against them. It's not important all of these other many of these other movements which are distractions from the real deep issues that are going on in the world that we live in. And one group to be especially careful about that many people fall prey to are the musicians. Musicians like Taylor Swift, whose songs are filled with things that imply literally have dajjalic and satanic lyrics in it. Many of the musicians who are at the top when it comes to their success in music, they have so many insinuations in their songs which are dark and devilish and dajjalic in nature. And because these industries are controlled by the Zionists, you'll never see them speaking out for truth or speaking up for truth. You'll always see them laying low, because otherwise it will impact their pockets and it will impact their fame. Do not be somebody who allows yourself to listen to these people, to follow these people, to be influenced by these people. Be mindful of what you watch, the shows you watch, what you listen to, what you hear, who you hang out with, and who you allow into your heart, because Allah wants the heart to be pure and not to have any hypocrisy in it. And unfortunately, in the times we are living in, there is so much hypocrisy that we always have to be on guard.